You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, the Environmental Protection Agency files a lawsuit against residents in Oronogo. We'll tell you why.
Plus, we are all off to a downright cold start this morning thanks to high pressure just to the north on the Iowa-Illinois line. But the sun is rising. We are going to see improving temperatures today. We'll break down your morning forecast and the rest of the weekend coming up.
And a 19-year-old woman soars to record-breaking heights as she completes a solo flight around the world. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The Environmental Protection Agency files a lawsuit against 3 Oronogo, Missouri residents. According to court documents, the 3 defendants named in the suit have denied the EPA access to their properties for testing and remediation. Suit names Ronald and Patricia West, as well as Randy Pendergraft. Suit involves properties in Oronogo owned by the West and 1 property owned by Pendergraft. Properties are part of the Oronogo-Dunawig Mining Belt Superfund site, which is contaminated with lead waste. According to the suit, the EPA has attempted to gain access to the properties to do soil testing and ultimately clean up the contaminated land. We spoke with Ronald West, who declined to go on camera. He told us he and his mother, Patricia, were approached by the EPA in 2016 about access to their properties. West tells us when he looked at the paperwork from the EPA, he says it listed him as a grantor, and he became concerned about losing property rights if he signed those documents, allowing the EPA on site. West says he was very careful to never tell the EPA no, and instead began work on a contract with the EPA for the work. For the complete court documents and a statement from the Department of Justice, you can check out this story on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. D.C. Court of Appeals rules in favor of the city of Miami, Oklahoma in a lawsuit against the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC. The ruling says FERC failed to appropriately analyze the city of Miami's complaint concerning the GRDA's operation of the Pensacola Dam. The city claims the GRDA violated its license by flooding property that it does not have the legal right to flood. City Attorney Ben Loring said in a release, in part, "We've been battling this problem for decades, and until now it seems no one would even listen to our issues, let alone care about our problems, except for the courts. We feel like someone is finally listening." CDC reports an average of about 1 in 4 COVID tests coming back positive, a huge increase. All 50 states are reporting a high level of community transmission. Missouri has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country. The COVID situation in the state's biggest cities is dire. Hospitals there are swamped with patients.
There's a lot of anger about the community not wanting to take care of themselves and asking for us to pick up that slack when they become critically ill. And other days it's really profound sadness because we have the saddest stories you've ever heard in your life.
Governor Parson declared an end to the pandemic emergency 3 weeks ago. That emergency order gave hospitals the flexibility to move staff around and add beds. And without it, they say they're struggling to keep up with the rising number of patients. When COVID-19 cases surge within school districts, school staff face an extra challenge to keep everything running smoothly for students. And when it comes to students' health, nurses play a key role. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with the school nurse at Anderson Elementary, who says she's been extra busy throughout the pandemic.
Even though COVID's been around for a few years now, it's still very scary for the parents, the staff, the kids.
While the McDonald County School District has managed to stay open for the most part, Anderson Elementary School nurse Angela Riley says she's never been busier. Even after taking a few days off last week to clean district buildings and giving students time to recover from illness.
And so for them to be proactive and go ahead and take those days off, it was definitely needed. But yes, we're definitely seeing it increase. It's been very busy. Very, very busy, but we have a great team here.
As a nurse, Riley's seen not only the physical aspect of the pandemic on children, but the emotional aspect as well.
It's definitely a process, just because they do hear in the community of people who have lost their battle with COVID. So it is still very scary. So there's a lot of not just the health side of it, but the emotional side of it. So that these little ones that are coming in and getting tested, just to kind of reassure them that, it's going to be okay.
What really helps alleviate stress is having the entire school working with Riley to keep track of who's sick.
I think our district's doing a great job. I really do. I know the nurses in the district, they're tired. This has definitely been a long run over 3 years to be dealing with something like this.
With everyone in the district stepping in to help, Riley says she hopes this will be over soon. In Anderson, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The Anderson Elementary Nurse's Office has also been testing students and staff for COVID-19 to keep track of COVID in the school. Meatloaf, the iconic larger-than-life singer and performer, has died. According to his verified Facebook page, Marvin Lee Aday died with his wife Deborah by his side. His 1977 record, Bat Out of Hell, was one of the best-selling albums of all time. Some of his hits included I'll Do Anything for Love and Paradise by the Dashboard Light. He also did some acting, appearing in the classic Rocky Horror Picture Show, as well as some TV. No cause of death was shared on his social media. The singer was 74 years old.
Yeah, and in honor of that, the rock station back home, KC95, played Paradise by the Dashboard Light. That's actually one of my favorite tracks from him. It's a really good track.
That I Do Anything for Love was like the high school dance song. Yeah.
What about You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth? I actually prefer that one than the title track of that album, which I never know if we can say the full name of that or not.
Yeah, if you're using it in reference to what you're talking about, it's okay.
Yeah. Like, we could go on and on about Meatloaf and rock music, but our time is limited. We got to focus on weather because that's what I need to talk about right now. And you're probably wondering why on earth we're so cold this morning. Two good reasons for that. The first, jet stream setup. You can see the jet back to our south. That's one reason why we're cold. Plus, I'm keeping an eye on this upper level low. This is what's actually going to come our way by Monday and Tuesday to give us our next best shot for any rain. For the short term, though, at the surface, here's an area of high pressure just to the north, right on the Iowa-Illinois border. That is also aiding in a light breeze, clear skies this morning, and definitely a cold start to the day across the entire area, including Joplin, where it is still 6 degrees. A calm breeze out there, thankfully doesn't give us a wind chill, but it's cold across the rest of the area. The mid to upper single digits, that's where most of us sit right now. And in the very far southern counties, think Grand Lake and Table Rock Lake down south, that is where we have most of you right around 10 degrees. Fortunately, compared to the 20s we saw the other day, we will do a bit better today. 25 by noon. If you're going to be around Joplin during the afternoon, we'll have temperatures topping out around 33 this afternoon as our easterly breeze turns more southeasterly late this afternoon. But the same case applies for the entire area, quite frankly. Everyone will enjoy mostly sunny skies and eventually highs back in the lower 30s this afternoon. Now, the future track still wants to try and overdo the cloud cover a little bit. I still want to go with partly cloudy skies, but even with partly cloudy skies, that southwest breeze, it's going to keep temperatures right around 20 this time around. So it's still cold tonight, but thankfully not as cold as this morning is. Then we're back finally near normal tomorrow. 44 degrees for Saturday, 51 on Sunday. So the rest of the weekend is looking pretty good. Then Monday's system with rain chances will take us from 52 Monday afternoon right back into the 30s Tuesday and Wednesday.
Up next, is Omicron on the rise or on the decline? Experts say it depends on where you live. Later, Major League Baseball season just around the corner, if there's a season at all. We're going to give you the latest on the MLB's lockout status. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
It's a touch.
The rise and fall of Omicron. The United States appears to be turning the corner on the new variant, but on the ground, the battle against Omicron looks very different state by state. Isabel Rosales reports on the new trends and the stark warning from health experts to not let down our guard.
Is the Omicron wave waning or cresting?
We should not assume that the pandemic is over.
The answer depends on where you live.
Nationally, we have peaked. I think infections are going to come down.
Right now, 14 states across mostly the eastern seaboard are seeing a case drop by at least 10% compared to last week. But 26 other states saw cases go up by at least the same amount.
This pandemic is nowhere near over, and with the incredible growth of Omicron globally, new variants are likely to emerge.
Health experts predict most states will be past the Omicron peak by mid-February. In those harder-hit states, no rest in the high-stakes battle against Omicron, even in the classroom. New Mexico's governor set to become a substitute teacher, launching a licensing program to help with the severe staffing shortage.
I expect that by the weekend, I will be cleared and I will be available to support a school.
To its east, police officers subbed in for elementary school teachers in one Oklahoma school district.
All right, Mr. Jones, we're going to go ahead and start with your face here, all right?
And it's back to school for this Black Hawk helicopter mechanic.
Where's your radial pulse?
Members of Wisconsin's National Guard are becoming certified nursing assistants to help support busy hospitals and nursing homes.
It takes a team to fix a helicopter. It takes a team to keep the hospitals running.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales.
It may seem like COVID has been here for years, and it has, 2 to be exact. Thursday marked 2 years since the first case of COVID-19 was confirmed in the U.S. It happened in Washington state and came just 2 weeks after the novel coronavirus was first identified in China. Since that initial case, more than 68.5 million people have tested positive across the U.S. Also, the infection has claimed more than 855,000 lives in the nation. Pandemic has also impacted almost every aspect of American life since sweeping across the country soon after that first case 2 years ago. Sorry, red wine drinkers, that glass of vino you enjoy and think is good for your heart apparently isn't. Of course, that's according to the latest study by the World Heart Federation. The group, which is made up of hundreds of heart associations around the world, says no amount of alcohol consumption is safe. Its study indicates any amount of alcohol contribute to cardiovascular problems, including heart attack and stroke. Study also blames nearly 2.4 million deaths in 2019 on alcohol. Findings are in contrast to the American Heart Association's stance that moderation is key when it comes to booze. One of the study's authors challenged that notion, saying the claim can be attributed to misinformation and public relations from the alcohol industry. We'll just wait till the next study comes out. For the first time ever, a space mission is delayed due to rough weather on another planet. Ingenuity helicopter was slated to fly on Mars on January 19th, but according to NASA, the team had to push the flight back because of an unusually strong regional dust storm on the red planet. Dust in the atmosphere is the greatest threat to Mars missions. That's because the dust can decrease the amount of sunlight that reaches the solar panels, which power missions like Ingenuity. Now the team anticipates the flight will take place on Sunday, January 23rd. I just had an image from WALL-E come in my head. You know what movie I'm talking about, right?
That almost came to mind too.
Yeah, when he had to go save Eva because the dust storm was coming in. Yeah.
I completely forgot about all that movie, but I need to watch it again. It's pretty good.
It's on Disney Plus.
And who knows, like probably staying inside the wash wall is probably the best thing you can do considering how cold it will be once again today. But still, we're going to be improving things certainly better compared to the 20s we saw the other day. Key reason why we're cold this morning to start things out again, the jet stream setup, the jet itself back to the south of the region. And at the surface, high pressure right over the Iowa-Illinois border. Even though that clockwise flow around the high is giving us just a light east breeze this morning, it's also the main reason why we are so cold, with Joplin sitting at 6 this morning, at least at this hour. A calm breeze though, so no wind chill, so we'll certainly take that considering how cold enough it is already. Mid to upper single digits across the entire region overall. It's not until you get along and south of US 60 where we've got a couple of lower teens showing up on the map. Fortunately, the sun will continue to rise, and that will, with the light breeze throughout the day, finally help us back out in terms of warming things back up. 10 by 8 a.m. across much of the region, 25 by noon. At least around Joplin, we'll get afternoon highs to top out around 33. Cooler than that average high of 45. But again, an improvement compared to how cold it was yesterday afternoon. Everybody will be in the mid-20s to start this afternoon out, and with mostly sunny skies, we'll all go back into the lower 30s for this afternoon. Now tonight and the Saturday morning, the future track really still wants to try to overdo cloud cover. I'm thinking partly cloudy skies, but it's got the right idea with temperatures, mainly around 20 as we go into the overnight. And fortunately, partly sunny skies for Saturday will finally get us back into the 40s. A much needed change of pace and back to where we should be for this time of the year. So we'll top out at 44 on your Saturday afternoon, 51 Sunday, staying nice and dry for the rest of the weekend. 52 on Monday, but that's when our next cold front rolls in. We'll have rain chances come our way as well. Then after the front clears out, back into the winter chill. 35 Tuesday, and we'll stay in the 30s once again on Wednesday.
Dear Winter.
The 2022 Major League Baseball season might be just 2 months away, or a little over 2 months away, but there are fears that the league's lockout could actually impact opening day. Matt Napolitano reports.
During what had been a red-hot free agency period in Major League Baseball, the league's collective bargaining agreement with the Players Association expired, with team owners unanimously approving a work stoppage.
We instituted a lockout of Major League players. We took this action with the support of all 30 clubs.
A lockout is when the management side, team owners in this case, initiates the stoppage. The talks over a new agreement between the league and the Players Association went nowhere. The two sides met for just 7 minutes in the hours leading up to the agreement expiring. And the negotiations are still stagnant weeks after the lockout began, with just one virtual meeting taking place last week, where players shrugged off a proposal from MLB officials regarding core economic issues that players are seeking to address, including their shrinking share of league revenues indicated by declining player salaries, service time manipulation by ball clubs to delay free agency, and arbitration for younger players, as well as bad teams losing on purpose to get higher draft picks. With the lockout in effect, MLB websites are looking a little different, with black and white avatars replacing player photos, which some athletes have taken to using as a profile pic on social media to stand in solidarity with the Players Association.
Now, while teams can't make any changes to their 40-man rosters, ball clubs can still hire managers, coaches, and front office staff. We'll be right back with today's four-state hero on the other side.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero. Corporal Howard Foister served in the U.S. Army, his hometown, Edna, Kansas. We thank you for your service, Howard Foister, today's four-state hero. A teenager in Europe has become the youngest woman ever to fly around the world alone. She finally made it back home after a 5-month journey. Tina Kraus reports from London.
It was a picture-perfect touchdown in Belgium as Zara Rutherford landed her Shark ultralight plane with family and friends cheering her on.
I wasn't expecting so many people. It's really nice seeing so many friendly faces.
The 19-year-old Belgian-British teen earned a spot in the record books as the youngest woman to fly around the globe all by herself.
It's just really crazy. I haven't quite processed it, I think.
Rutherford's epic journey started last August. She spent 260 hours in the air. It was supposed to take 3 months, but ended up stretching to 5 because of dangerous conditions, including desert haze in Saudi Arabia, wildfires over California, and bad weather in other spots.
Coming out to Frankfurt, there was lots of rain, lots of snow, so I had to wiggle in some valleys, and I had to wait a while as well to wait for the snow to clear.
The adventure covered about 30,000 miles and included stops on 5 continents.
Yeah, it worked out, clearly, because here I am.
Rutherford's parents, who are both pilots, began taking her in small planes when she was just a toddler, and by 14, she started flying herself.
We told her and her brother since they were born that they can do anything, that they're extraordinary and there are no limits.
She hopes her accomplishment inspires other young girls trying to succeed in aviation and other male-dominated jobs. She plans to soar to new heights herself and eventually become an astronaut. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
And it might just happen. The youngest man to fly around the globe alone is Travis Ludlow, a British aviator who completed the trip last year at the age of 18. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, Britney Spears just finished up one court battle with a family member. Now she finds herself in the midst of another one. And if you haven't had enough of COVID yet, there's a brand new video game that lets you simulate COVID spread in today's Game On. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Why is it when someone says
the four states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Willie Gay is in legal trouble. Gay was arrested Wednesday night in Overland Park on misdemeanor criminal damage charges. Authorities say Gay damaged property, including a vacuum cleaner, during a confrontation with a woman. The Chiefs did not have a comment on the situation other than to say the club is aware of the incident. Gay's agent, Max Lepselter, released a statement, though, saying that no one was physically harmed and that the incident happened during an argument with his son's mother. A judge sentences a Fairland, Oklahoma man to multiple life prison terms for killing one man and injuring two others, including an Oklahoma Highway Patrol trooper. Edwin Ball gets 3 life sentences with release after 35 years for crimes that happened in March of 2020. Ball shot and killed Brendan Vanswell and shot and injured Peter Stokes. The victims were the adult son and brother of Ball's girlfriend. Ball then barricaded himself in a house near Grand Lake where he shot and injured an Oklahoma State trooper. In November, Ball accepted a deal, pleading guilty to 3 charges: murder in the first degree, shooting with the intent to kill, and assault with a deadly weapon. The Environmental Protection Agency files a suit against 3 Oronogo, Missouri residents. According to court documents, the 3 defendants named in the suit have denied the EPA access to their properties for testing and remediation. Suit names Ronald and Patricia West, as well as Randy Pendergraph. The suit involves properties in Oronogo owned by the West, 1 property owned by Pendergraph. Properties are part of the Oronogo-Dunawig Mining Belt Superfund site, which is contaminated with lead waste. According to the suit, the EPA has attempted to gain access to the properties to do soil testing and ultimately clean up the contaminated land. We spoke with Ronald West, who declined to go on camera, though he told us he and his mother, Patricia, were approached by the EPA in 2016 about access to their properties. West tells us when he looked at the paperwork from the EPA, he says it listed him as a grantor, and he became concerned about losing property rights if he signed those documents, allowing the EPA on site. West says he was very careful to never tell the EPA no, and instead began work on a contract with the EPA for the work. For the complete court documents and a statement from the Department of Justice, you can check out the story on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. The D.C. Court of Appeals rules in favor of the city of Miami, Oklahoma, in a lawsuit against the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC. The ruling says FERC failed to appropriately analyze the city of Miami's complaint concerning the GRDA's operation of the Pensacola Dam. City claimed the GRDA violated its license by flooding property that it does not have the legal right to flood. City Attorney Ben Loring said in a release, in part, "We've been battling this problem for decades, and until now it seems no one would even listen to our issues, let alone care about our problems, except for the courts. We feel like someone is finally listening." Health officials in Kansas are working to improve the availability of COVID-19 testing. The department says as the numbers of positive cases rise, the demand for testing is also increasing, causing delays in receiving tests and getting results. In response, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment says it's increasing staffing at existing testing sites and working to add 13 new testing sites. The department says it's looking for new laboratories to reduce wait times for test results and is searching for large indoor testing locations to prevent closures because of bad weather. Well, there's a new drive-through COVID testing site in Pittsburgh. Seeds of Hope Staffing Agency is hosting the drive-through at the Don Gutteridge Sports Complex in Lincoln Park. That's at 702 Memorial Drive. It's a free service, no appointment is needed, and it's open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. People can expect results from these PCR tests in about 48 to 72 hours. A man who made hockey history will be honored with the highest award a civilian can receive. The House passed the Willie O'Ree Congressional Gold Medal Act on Wednesday by a vote of 426-0. Last year, the Senate voted unanimously in favor of the bill, which means it's now heading to President Biden's desk for his signature. In 1958, O'Ree became the first black man to play in the National Hockey League, suiting up for the Boston Bruins. O'Ree appeared in 45 games with Boston, and the team retired his number on Tuesday, which was 22. The 86-year-old is still involved with the sport. For more than 2 decades, he served as the NHL's Director of Youth Development and Ambassador for NHL Diversity. A great honor.
That is pretty cool. And whether you play indoor hockey or even outdoor hockey, is this downright cold? Certainly. No, I was going somewhere with that transition. I apologize. It's a Friday morning. Let's just be glad it's the weekend and be glad that we're off to a quiet start this morning. But it's cold because our jet stream setup shows the jet well to our south and west. And at the surface, we have an area of high pressure right on the Iowa-Illinois border. That's what's keeping us dry to start this morning out, but that's why it's so cold this morning. We're at 6 in Joplin. At least we're seeing sunshine now that the sun is beginning to rise up. A calm breeze, so it doesn't give us a wind chill, but this doesn't change the fact that it's so cold no matter where we are across the board. From the mid-single digits in our northern counties to about 6 to 8 degrees around the Joplin metro, then some lower teens popping up in our southern counties. Fortunately, everybody is going to do better as far as temperatures today compared to yesterday, where we couldn't even get out of the 20s. 10 by 8 a.m., 25 by noon. If you're going to be around Joplin during the course of the afternoon, we'll see highs eventually topping out around 33. That's cooler than our average high of 45, but everyone's going to fare the same way. So everybody's just got to get past the cold start this morning, downright cold start this morning. Then under mostly sunny skies and a light easterly breeze turning southeasterly, we are going to see highs back at least into the lower 30s, as warm as 33 degrees. Partly cloudy skies will roll in tonight, taking us into Saturday morning, but nothing underneath the clouds. We stay dry tonight and going into tomorrow. Plus, we'll continue our warm-up tomorrow, despite the cloud cover passing through. Once we get a good southwest breeze back in action, look at how much better those numbers look by tomorrow afternoon. In fact, that's actually where we should be for this time of the year, right around 44 degrees for your Saturday afternoon. Let's say 28 Sunday morning and then topping out at 51. So we just got to get past this cold start to the weekend. Then Saturday and Sunday, we look great. Then Monday, our next storm system rolls in with rain chances in 52 for Monday. Then behind that, we'll dry out, but we're going to go right back into the winter chill with mid-30s on Tuesday and Wednesday. Back with more news on Fox 14 right after this.
Do you?
For something to talk about this morning, it's about robotic animals, specifically the animal, that's animal with a Y. It's a robot dog designed by a research university over in Zurich across the pond. An animal can move across even the roughest terrain with the greatest of ease. It can scale mountains, maneuver through tall grass and snow, and even step over obstacles. Animals are already being used instead of research teams in hostile environments like Chernobyl and the Fukushima power plants over in Japan. Animal can also read and understand maps, and they can see its path using animal-like touch sensors. One of the goals researchers have for animal eventually will be space exploration, but let's keep it here on planet Earth, and let's throw the question to you. How do you feel about robotic animals? Do you think it's great for people? Not a fan, no opinion, or other? Believe it or not, like when we opened up this poll, we actually had great for people tied with, I think, no opinion or other, but not a fan. That's the top taker with 46%. You can continue to chime in at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or by using the KOAM News Now app for iOS and Android. Switching gears now, an LA court hearing put Britney Spears' conservatorship and finances back in focus. In the meantime, the Britney Spears versus Jamie Lynn Spears public back and forth hit another level. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the latest.
Britney and Jamie Lynn Spears' social media feud turned into a back and forth over legal action. The pop superstar served her younger sister a cease and desist to stop talking about her on the book tour for things I should have said. In the letter, Spears' attorney Matthew Rosengart says, although Britney has not read and does not intend to read your book, she and millions of her fans were shocked to see how you have exploited her for monetary gain. It demands she stop referencing Britney derogatorily during her promotional campaign, and notes Britney will be taking the high road for the time being. Jamie Lynn's attorney, Brian Friedman, sent a response letter to Rosengart obtained by TMZ. Included, he says, recent social media posts by Britney will lead to more threats of violence against Jamie Lynn, which will not be tolerated. He also says they failed to specify any wrongdoing, and had they read the book, they would know it's not about Britney, but Jamie Lynn's own experiences growing up in the same family. Britney. Lingering legal battles between Britney and her father, Jamie, continued in court Wednesday. The 13-year conservatorship ended in November, but attorneys argued at a hearing over his legal fees, which he wants his daughter to pay. Rosengart alleges business misconduct and potentially criminal misconduct against Jamie, referencing allegations from a New York Times documentary that Spears bugged his daughter's phone and home. Jamie's attorney, Alex Weingarten, says accusations in both regards are all nonsense. The judge gave Britney control of her money in the meantime, transferring assets back from the conservatorship, and told the attorneys to return to court in July, when there will be a decision over a trial. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Quick break and we'll be back with consumer news on the other side.
Cars are more high-tech than ever before, and as Laura Podesta reports, the race is on to bring self-driving cars to the road.
Outside. This recent race in Las Vegas featured Indy-style cars, but there were no race car drivers. The fully autonomous vehicles make their own decisions, like when to pass. Approaching 170. Automakers are trying to bring the technology on display on this track to the road.
We're definitely finally getting closer to having self-driving cars.
Tim Stevens with CNET's Roadshow says many new cars have level 2 autonomous functions, including lane keeping assist.
When you step up to level 3, that's when things start to get interesting.
Last year, Honda introduced a vehicle that changes lanes on its own. And in a traffic jam, the driver can take their eyes off the road. GM's Super Cruise lets drivers go hands-free in certain conditions. Next year, the company will release Ultra Cruise, which promises hands-free driving in 95% of conditions. Waymo is taking the technology a step further. Heading to shopping mall. The company is now offering driverless cab rides in Phoenix, but the cars can't operate alone in inclement weather that may interfere with sensors. Full autonomy is just a concept at this point. Automakers envision a future where vehicles won't need any human involvement, but Stevens says first it'll require better sensors.
That gives these cars the ability to detect with millimetric precision every obstacle that's around them and find a safe path through it.
Companies are now testing advanced 3D LiDAR systems with that capability, racing to bring self-driving cars a step closer to reality. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Mercedes and Volvo are expected to release vehicles with level 3 technology later this year. Over 300,000 baby pacifiers are being recalled. The notice on the U.S. Consumer Safety Commission website says the Frigg silicone pacifiers may be a choking hazard. Mushi and Company announced the recall after 200 reports of the base of the silicone nipple detaching from the plastic. The Classic and Daisy designs were sold in sizes 0 through 6 months and 6 through 18 months. Pacifiers also come in 40 different colors, and they're sold at popular stores like TJ Maxx, Spearmint Love, Lil Tulips, Olivia and Jade, Amazon, and their website, mushi.com. Recall says no one has been injured. It's good news. Inflation is rising much faster than salaries. According to the Anderson Economic Group, the price of new cars increased by nearly 12% from December of 2020 to December of 2021. But wages rose less than 5% during that same time period. That means the average American needs to work 3 weeks more during the year in order to afford a typical new vehicle. For a used car, they'd need to work 5 weeks more compared to a year ago. The Anderson Economic Group used Bureau of Labor Statistics data and the Consumer Price Index to make these comparisons. Was hard a year as 2021 was. A lot of people were apparently in the mood to celebrate. The world bought more champagne than ever last year. We're talking billions worth of bubbly. Sales and exports set new records despite pandemic lockdowns that forced the closure of many bars and restaurants. Trade association Commit Champagne says France exported a record 180 million bottles of champagne in 2021, a 38% increase over 2020. As for global sales, they hit a record too, totaling $6.2 billion. Those numbers are surprising considering tourism and event planning have been down due to the pandemic. In a statement, Commit Champagne offered a possible explanation. People are just drinking more at home. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Start. While not strictly a video game, a programmer has created a playable simulation to show how COVID variants spread in an office environment. Rick Demigello reports.
COVID Simulator is exactly as the name implies, visualizing what happens when people infected with COVID-19 spread the illness indoors.
COVID Simulator is an outbreak visualization game laced with a lot of dark humor. COVID Simulator is an attempt to make something kind of fun, but make it a very streamlined, simple, basic, this is how COVID spreads in a workplace, at home, or whatever.
Created by a single developer, the simulation uses publicly available CDC data.
You model your workplace and then you get your employees in there and you say, okay, well, what would happen if we had an outbreak? I find a lot of people will do that and then try to see how quickly they can fix it so where there's no more COVID left. And they have a hard time doing that because it's not that easy to get rid of.
Players can adjust variables for infection rates, mask usage, vaccination status, and even alternative treatments and anti-vaccine behaviors.
These kind of things are good information to give to people so they can make an informed decision about what they should be doing. And that's kind of like the mission statement of the simulator in the first place is I'm not going to, I think, advance science in any way, but I will hopefully help you to say, okay, well, what do I think is worth the risk for me?
Leveling Up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Now, a demo is available now through the developer's website, but if you want the full version, it will release on Tuesday if Windows is your operating system of choice. In the meantime, though, let's talk weather now. So as we switch gears, two big reasons why we're cold. The jet stream at the jet stream setup is back to our southwest. That's one reason why we're cold. Number two, high pressure at the surface right over the Iowa-Illinois border. While it is doing its job of keeping our breeze light and skies clear throughout the overnight hours and to get this morning started, look at how cold it is in Joplin still. 6 degrees. Hopefully, by the time we get a fresh number at 8 o'clock, this is going to start an upward trend as we go throughout the course of the day. A calm breeze, though, so there's no wind chill, but it doesn't change the fact that we're still in the mid-single digits for the northern half of the viewing area, and then upper single digits to about 11 degrees across the rest of the region. Forget about highs topping out around our average high of 45 degrees. We are going to improve compared to yesterday, but it's still going to be cold. 25 by noon. If you're going to be around Joplin, we'll top highs out around 33 degrees this afternoon, but everyone is going to see improvements once we just get out of the single digits. We should be into the lower, if not middle 20s by the time the afternoon gets going. And then under mostly sunny skies and eventually a southeast breeze returning, we will see highs pushing back into the lower 30s. Partly cloudy skies will roll in tonight, and that is going to do the trick to help keep temperatures from getting too cold again. Forget about single digits, but we'll still drop back near 20 degrees across much of the region. Then partly to mostly sunny skies for Saturday and the southwest breeze that will finally get us back into the mid 40s as we go into Saturday, and we'll see how the rest of the weekend is shaping up and when our next chance for rain will come on in with our final look at the 7-day when we come back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Congressional investigators are now looking into why President Trump did not stop the mob on January 6th as it attacked the U.S. Capitol last year. The House panel is asking to speak to Ivanka Trump. She's one of the people who asked her father to call off rioters that day. Officials in the San Francisco Bay Area say they're seeing signs the latest COVID surge is starting to plateau there. The new daily cases in the U.S. continue to test the limits of many hospitals around the nation, some of which are now receiving help from members of the military. And Texans are bracing for some wintry weather. An Arctic air mass is forecast to bring colder temperatures across much of the central and eastern U.S. While people in parts of Indiana spent the day yesterday digging out from and playing in the snow. Let's check in with Nick with a final look at your 4-state forecast.
Only winter weather we have to track today are the cold temperatures still in place, but it's an improvement compared to the other day. 33 for the high this afternoon. Thankfully, we're back in the mid 40s and staying dry for Saturday. Lower 50s on Sunday, 52 on Monday, but then that's when our next storm system rolls on in. The rain chances will pick up Monday, then behind the front. Surprise, surprise, we'll be back in the 30s before you know it, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, a 9-year-old girl from Kentucky takes to the kitchen to help fight cancer. Raylan Duncan is raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital with her canine Cookies for Cancer. Funds raised from these dog treats will go towards the St. Jude Radiothon, which focuses on increasing awareness about childhood cancer. Among the ingredients in Raylan's cookies, applesauce, peanut butter, and bananas. This venture appears to be a first step for Raylan. She says she wants to be a pediatrician when she grows up. That's sweet. Given that, I bet those dogs will like those treats too.
That is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We will be back with more. My goodness, I'm glad it's the weekend.
It is Friday.
Yes, it is. We'll be back with more news and weather. That's what I was trying to say. Back on KOAM at the noon hour.
Have a great morning and an even better weekend.
Some of my